I was called to diagnose this vehicle and it's having an issue. So let's check the issue. It's a temperature sensor issue. So we are having this temperature sensor issue, and you can see the other one is stored, but this one is permanent. That means this issue is still persistent and it is high. Let me go to live data and see if I'll get any temperature, any reading on the temperature sensor. So let me see if I'll get any reading on it. Intake temperature sensor. I have reading on the map sensor. Oh, why? Let me run it. You can see how the vehicle is running. It barely runs. Let me see if this is giving me an issue. Let me use the OBD to do the scanning. Let me use the OBD part of this vehicle to do the scanning. You can see the RPM and the engine barely runs, and the RPM is not running. So let me use the OBD side of the scan to do the diagnosis. So I'm having it here. So let me see my fault code before I go to live data. So this is my fault code. So it's telling me sensor A high, circuit high could be a ground issue. So with this one, what I'll do, that means the map sensor is not working. So what I'll do is, it could be a ground issue. So what I'll do is, I have to check my wiring diagram and know which one is ground and test for ground. So that means because of that ground, the whole system is not working. So let me go to live data, and because the map sensor is faulty, that's why it is behaving this way. So let me check and see if I'll see. And the map sensor is working, but the map sensor is not working. You can see intake temperature is negative, and whenever you see sensor high, it could mean that it needs ground, or it's a shortened ground. So let me see if I'll see anything. I'm not getting the mass airflow. The mass airflow is working, but the temperature sensor is 0, and you can see the mass airflow sensor is not working properly. So what I'm going to do is, let me test the circuit and see. So let me shut the vehicle off, then turn on the ignition and scan it and see if I'll find any problem. So from my wiring diagram, you can see that this is my map sensor, and it looks like they share common ground, which is pin 4. So they share common ground on my map sensor. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to check for which one. I'm going to search for the ground and see if it is strong to carry voltage, and it looks like all of them goes to the PCM. So all of them goes to the PCM, and you can see anytime the fault code comes, it brings these two faults also, and it goes back to the system. So what I'm going to do, it could be a ground issue or something. So I'll test for my ground on the diagram, so you can see it. I'm going to test for my ground on the system and see which of them is working. So with this one, let me check if I'm still having negative on my intake mass airflow sensor. So let me take it off and do the diagnosis. So with my multimeter, what I'm coming to do is, I have to test and see. I'm having battery voltage. Wow, how come the battery voltage is running down quickly? So I'm having battery voltage. So what I'll do is, I have to test all the pins, and let me start from this one and see. I'm having 12 volt, which is battery voltage. I'm having 5 volt, I'm having 0 volts, I'm having another 0 volts, and I'm having 4.5. So let me try and short the 4.5 to ground and see if my temperature will change. If it doesn't change, I'm using this test light, and this test light is not. So you can see my temperature, my intake temperature has changed to 120. When I take it off, it will change to -40. So that means the cable is okay. So as they were saying, this one's supposed to be ground. So let me connect my test light to battery positive. Then so anytime I see ground, my test light should turn on, right? So now my test light should turn on. Let me see if this ground, so you can see this ground doesn't turn on my test light, and this ground is from the PCM. It's from the PCM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix it back and give it the ground and see if my temperature will change from this side. So let me do that. So now the moment I plug it in, you can see I'm getting some voltages, which I don't think it should come. So what I'm going to do, I'm still having negative. So let me test it and see if I feed it with ground. If I feed it with ground, will my test light change? And you can see the connection that I'm doing here. So let me try it and see. So it goes, and you can see I'm now getting the right temperature that I need. When I take it off, it goes off. So this tells me that the ground going to that sensor to feed all the system, that's where the issue is. That ground is not able to get to its destination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let me finish this. And to do is now I'm feeding in a ground to the system for it to work. So now it is working. So I'm going to start the vehicle and see if my engine will be running the same, or my engine will change. The way the engine is running will change. So this tells me that it's a ground issue. So now let me cycle the ignition and start the vehicle. And I'm still having the issue. Let me check why it's behaving that way. So this one is okay. So I'm getting that ground, and let me try and erase the fault code and start the vehicle again. So when I erase the fault code, I should get, so I don't know where that ground is coming from. So I think that ground will come from the ECU, because when you check the wiring diagram, everything goes to the ECU. So that ground comes from the ECU, and I don't know why it is not showing. So you can see now I'm having only permanent fault code. So what I'll do is, let me go to live data. Let me start the vehicle and see if the check engine light. Yeah, wow. It's not starting back. Okay, so now let me check why it's now behaving this way. But for the sensor issue, it is fixed now. You can see the temperature is reading. And so let me check everything and get back. Now after testing all the grounds are okay. So I think it's a connection problem. So I'll try and start it and see how it will run again. Then I'll know what to do. And you can see now it is running okay. The check engine light is off and it's running okay. So it's a ground issue, and the control board is not providing that ground needed. So let me read the fault code again and see the ones that will appear. And there is no pending fault code, and we call it a fix. So I'll speak to the client about it, then we'll see what we do. If there is a break somewhere, you can see now the engine is running peacefully. And you can see our temperature. Although I've done this bypass, I've given it ground, but you can see my millivolt is around 0.20. Sorry, it's 20 millivolts. So you can see now my intake pressure sensor, my intake temperature sensor is around 9039, and my max sensor is running smoothly, and my RPM is stable. so it's a ground issue. That's why we're having those problems. So I'll speak to the client about it, then we'll see how far we can go with this one. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. And now still the RPM is really stable and the fault is gone. Thank you. Bye. So with this one, it looks like it's a pin fitment issue. So the moment I push this pin in properly, it gets contact, then you can see the engine is running and there is no fault code again. And you can see my intake temperature sensor is now reading. So I think I will work on that before I leave. I'll take the socket out, work on that before I leave, and make sure everything is perfect. Then I'll call it a fix. So I'll place in a cable to hold it so that it will get contact. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.